What's up, guys? Welcome back to HidoraTalks. This is your boy Hidora Daikaiju. I'm here with the OG. Say hi to everybody, OG.
Hey guys.
So, and tonight, OG and we are going to do our top 10 favorite video games of all time. Video games or video game franchises of all time. So, if it's like just one game, that's fine. Okay. Uh, and I have my list. He has his list. You know. So we're gonna do a top 10. I think after we do our number fours, then we'll do our three honorable mentions. So,
Hey,
all right. So OG, are you ready to get started?
okay, let's get going.
All right, OG. My number 10, Cyberpunk 2077.
Wow, Cyberpunk
So
made the top 10, huh?
it did, and I also forgot to mention, when you do each one, you're also gonna name your three favorite characters. Okay.
Three favorite characters. Okay.
So, and Cyberpunk 2077 made number 10 on my list. And my three favorite characters are the main character V. I just like their personality. Jackie Boy. I I really want you to play Cyberpunk, so I'm not going to tell you why. But
Hmm.
Jackie is one of my favorites. And then, of course, Johnny Silverhand, because he is played by Keanu Reeves. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
But Cyberpunk 2077, that was a rough launch, real rough launch. But by the time I played a game 1 year later, I don't know, maybe a lot of those problems, or at least some of those problems, had been fixed by the time I played it because I didn't have anywhere near the same amount of issues that other people had been reporting. And I was playing it on Xbox initially, and then I played it on PC, and it was the same thing. And on PC in particular, the only time I really ran into an issue, it was almost always mod related. So I knew what it
Mm.
was, I knew what caused it, and I knew how to fix it. And then when I would just remove that mod or whatever, it would go back to normal. And I never beat it, but I made it a good way through the story. And to me, that game was a fucking blast. It was just a blast to play. I had so much fun. Like just the prologue, just the prologue. I probably spent God a whole week just staying within the prologue, running around doing shit before actually furthering the story past that point.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I did try to play it like Grand Theft Auto initially. Um, that didn't work out. it was not. It was not made to be played like Grand Theft Auto. I'm sure there's a way to play it like Grand Theft Auto, but it was not intended for that. But no, I thought the game was an absolute fucking blast. I really did. So that's my number 10, and those are my three favorite characters from it. OG.
Okay, I think number 10 I'm going with the Yu-Gi-Oh games.
Just
Yu-Gi-Oh game.
Yu-Gi-Oh games as a whole.
The franchise as a whole, but I think more specifically, right now, as we know, play Master Duel.
Mm-hmm.
Going back, we did play, pretty much all of the
I mean, we picked
um
up practically every Yu-Gi-Oh game on PS2, every Yu-Gi-Oh game on Game Boy.
Game Boy, right. What was it, Duels of the Roses, where it was
Duelist of
like
the
a
Roses was
board?
the one we played the most. Where yeah, it was like a board game chess type of setup.
Yeah. So we had fun with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I think that just the online games for Yu-Gi-Oh and the solo games were fun. So that's my number 10. For favorite characters, man, I don't know that I have three because I stopped watching the show after the original, Yu-Gi-Oh, Yugi.
Hmm.
Um, Sort of, I guess, the initial seasons,
Yeah.
where sort of then progressed into GX. But Kaiba, of course, is as my favorite.
Yep.
And then I guess we could probably use some cards. I think cards would be fitting. Favorite cards in the game for the other two, and One would be, the OG pre-errata Chaos Dragon. And then my next, and one of my three would be newer. It would be a Rise Heart from this newer Castera support and era. I think it's fun. I love the Castera archetype, and
I
probably
do too. Long live the Castera Empire.
yeah, probably my favorite archetype out of all. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh games, and more specifically, Master Duel, I guess.
Yeah.
Number 10.
All right. I like it. I like it. I like it. And just to throw it out, I think my favorite character has always been Merrick. I just loved him as a villain. And I
Right.
love it. I love his name. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say anything more on that. I'm just going to say, OG, you know how much I love that damn name.
I do. I do indeed.
So, all right. So number 9. Now this one doesn't have any favorite characters because there are characters, but you don't meet any of them except for like one, and it's not really her. And so other than that, you're just by yourself. But my number 9 is, and this might not even surprise you, Ark Survival Evolved.
Yep, not surprised. But I am surprised at the rank that it is.
Yeah, well, part of that comes from Ark's difficulty. Ark is not a forgiving game. Um, there have been many a times, and not just me, where you start the game and it spawns you in, and you're immediately getting attacked by something and you die. And then you respawn, and then you're immediately getting attacked by something and you die. And then if you're like me, where you add in mods like, oh, I don't know, Mecha Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong, or the female Muto from Godzilla 2014, you might load up your game for the first time, spawn in for the very first time, and one of those two bastards is right there in your spawn zone wrecking shit, and then they see you, and you are not going to outrun them.
Yep, yep.
So the difficulty is why it's at number 9, because it's not a hard game, but at the same time, early on, it can be a very hard game. And even later on, when you're level 100, whatever, it can still be very hard. There's a guy on YouTube, Syntac. I watched his Arc Ascended series. I think that's what it was
Yeah.
called. But people in the he ended up 1v1ing the final boss for the first map, and people in the comments were like, "I can't believe you 1v1 this guy." Like, and he went in with an army of dinosaurs, which is generally what you have to do with the bosses in the game. You have to build an actual army of dinos or creatures. And
Yeah.
his entire one got wiped out. Like half of it got wiped out before he even got to the final boss. And then the rest of them got wiped out as soon as that final boss battle started. And so it was just him. And he managed to beat the Overseer just himself, flying around with his fucking blaster.
Wow.
So, but that's my number 9.
Okay. Okay. Um, well, I hadn't played a whole lot of video games after, coming from like the Navy time frame. Generally it was like Call of Duty. So a lot of my favorites are older. So with number 9, I would have to say Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3.
I can't wait for 4, bro. I and it's not Budokai Tenkaichi. It's Tenkaichi Budokai.
Oh yeah, Tenkaichi Budokai. Well,
I cannot
yeah.
wait for number
Uh,
4, man. I cannot wait for number 4. Oh, so many
Cannot
memories with that though. So many memories.
indeed, indeed. I mean, they're just so much fun, and that's why it's on my that's why it's on my top 10. Just had a lot of fun with it. Played for hours. I mean, I
Hours,
wish,
hours, hours,
we had
hours
some.
into the wee mornings, into the wee hours of the morning, nonstop.
Gosh,
We
crazy,
we would only
crazy.
stop to eat and go to the bathroom, and even then we'd be eating while playing.
Yep, yep. So yeah, characters. I mean, obviously the characters stem from Dragon Ball Z. So, my number one is Vegeta. That's just is what it is.
Yep.
Prince of all Saiyans.
Yep.
Um, I think hands down the best character in the show with the best character arc and development. So even though Toriyama hates him, obviously he messed up because he gave him the best.
He had the most
arc,
development
and
out of anybody.
yeah, most development out of anyone. He's not an idiot like Kakarot, and and subsequently he created a whole fan base uh, for Vegeta. So Vegeta's number one, Broly's number two, and to specify, New Broly with actual personality, and then number three, probably, and that's a hard one because I would, normally it would be like Trunks um, or something to that effect. But um, I think now with this new movie, Piccolo is my number three. So
Superhero.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah.
Would have to,
I thought it was okay. I just kind of found myself just waiting for shit to
it
actually kick off with Gohan.
happened.
But then once it
Yeah,
did, it was fucking amazing.
yeah. I ranked that movie below Resurrection of F and the Brawley movie. So
Yeah.
I give it I
The
give it
Brawley movie
above
is my favorite. The Brawley movie is my favorite.
hands down. I put it above the Super Saiyan God movie, but that movie was cheeks to me.
I only
But
watched it just to watch Resurrection F.
right, right, right. It was
So,
cheeks.
all right.
We can call it how it is. It was cheeks.
Yeah. I mean, okay. My top three for Dragon Ball Z. I mean, number three would be Broly, either version. I've always loved Broly, but obviously, if you ask me, well, which one do you like more? Well, Broly from Super.
Yeah, it's easy.
And then my second favorite character, Frieza. Frieza's my second favorite
Yeah,
character. And then OG, you know who my number one is, Gohan.
Gohan. Yep.
So, yep. All right. All right. Moving on to number eight. My number eight is the Devil May Cry franchise, including
Ah. Oh, don't say
including
it. Don't say
the
that. Don't you say.
2012 Ninja Theory version.
Nope.
I had fun playing
Oh, no. Your call cannot be completed as dialed.
that. I had fun playing that. I really did. I really did. But it did pale in comparison to what is Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 4, and I will even say Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine because I guess for transparency, when I only played one, maybe a bit of two and three, a bit. I watched just the cinematic trail, like the cinematic portions of each to watch the whole story from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was five. That's where Virgil's son is there, right? And like
Right.
Virgil split or something like his
Yeah,
abilities.
yeah.
Uh, uh,
Virgil used Yamato to split his human half and his demon half into two separate entities, and then they finally confirmed that Nero is Virgil's son,
okay, cool.
who
So
was introduced
I
in
just
four.
right, and gosh, Virgil's just an awesome character. And just watching all of that, I can understand. I get it. I get it. The franchise, I get it. It's awesome.
Yeah. My top
Yeah.
three favorite characters for Devil May Cry. Number three is going to be Trish. She's a bad bitch. She's a bad bitch. She doesn't get much to do in 5 or 4, but we saw quite a bit of her in 1, and then in 2, you could actually unlock her to play as. So,
Right.
but my number 3 would be Trish. My number 2 would be Nero. I just love Nero's personality. And then my number 1 is Virgil.
Yeah. 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 I mean, if we're talking about it, number three for me would be Lady.
Yep,
Um,
I already
number
do.
two, yeah, you knew. Number two would be Virgil, and number one Dante.
Yeah,
I don't normally like the main character of anything because they're generally,
but
I
it's
think, very
but it's
one-dimensional.
Dante.
But Dante is the greatest main character,
Like, yeah,
aside from
it's
like
like I don't normally
Truthfully
like the
Naruto.
main character of anything. It's like, yeah, but in this case, it's Dante.
Right. So
So, all right, what's your number 8?
number eight, you ask? Well. Oh, you ready?
Yep.
It would be the Sonic series, specifically the Sonic Adventure series.
So okay.
So, so um, that's Dreamcast, guys. That is Sega Dreamcast.
A lot of y'all listening probably have never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, some people don't know what the Sega Dreamcast is. Not to be confused with Malibu's Most Wanted Gamecast, but that's Sega Dreamcast, man. I full-heartedly believe it was ahead of its time and didn't get, the additional attention it needed. Maybe they missed the mark on that little memory card situation, but ultimately the Dreamcast was phenomenal. So Sega, I think Sonic Adventure was I believe, the first um, open world type Sonic game that we had.
Hmm.
It was still sort of linear with how it was designed, but for all intents and purposes, it was the open world Sonic game that we all didn't know that we needed.
Yeah.
Followed up by Sonic Adventure 2, which showed us Shadow the Hedgehog, and a lot of nice shoe grinding. Great
Yep.
games.
Yep.
I remember playing it like all summer, what, 99? So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, so a little story. Again, some of you weren't necessarily old enough to understand Y2K, but everybody thought that, from New Year's Eve come 2000, January 1st, 2000, all the computers were gonna just melt down because they didn't know how to switch over to the new year. And me having Sonic Adventure and no memory card, I was like, well, what am I going to do? And not that it relates, but let me just keep my game running all night long. So, so the computers don't switch over, or the power, and whatever. But
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting. Good
Yeah.
times.
And then we all woke up the next morning.
And then nothing changed except for the year
Yeah.
00.
Yeah. Yeah. And who's your three favorites?
Three favorites. I think number one for me is going to be uh, Knuckles. Knuckles, ever since Sonic 2 from Sega, and then
Actually, I think that was Sonic 3. Yeah,
um
because there was
yeah, yeah,
Sonic
yeah, yeah, you're right,
3,
you're right,
and
you're
then
right.
you would attach it to the other cartridge that was Sonic and Knuckles.
Right, right, yeah. So you could attach even Sonic 2 to Sonic and Knuckles and play as Knuckles. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Sonic 3, you're right. Yeah, Sonic 3, you're right. I think it started there. That's when it all started. Uh Number two, sorry, I went backwards. Number one, Knuckles. Number two, Sonic. And then number three for me would probably be um, Shadow.
Okay.
Shadow's
Okay.
too cool to not mention.
Okay.
Shadow's too cool.
Well, for me, my number 3 is Tails because I had Sonic Adventure 2. So before we were able to play Sonic and Knuckles, I would always want to play as Tails. It was one of the few times where I didn't mind being player 2 because player 2 meant I could play as Tails. um,
Yep. Yep.
and then my number 2 is Knuckles. And then, and by the way, I loved Knuckles in the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie.
Oh, agreed. Agreed. I
Loved
think
his characterization, like
he
loved
did a great job.
his ignorance to things.
Right. Right.
Like, I have defeated you in base of ball.
Right.
It's like, how dare you throw sand at me in my hour of grieving?
I think they did a great job with Knuckles.
Idris Elba killed it as Knuckles.
Yep.
And then my number
Yep.
one is, you already know, my boy Shadow. My number one.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir.
all right, all right. I actually was not expecting you to say the Sonic series, but okay, okay. So, number 7. My number 7 is Grand Theft Auto. Little story, guys. I had never heard of Grand Theft Auto until I went to spend the usual weekend, and by usual weekend, I meant just like every weekend prior to this, you know, at his house. And he's like, hey, you want to play Grand Theft Auto 3? What's Grand Theft Auto 3? And then I found out what Grand Theft Auto 3 was. And then I don't know,
Yeah.
it was like a year or two later. Then there was Grand Theft Auto Vice City. You
Oh
know,
boy, yep.
and my mom wouldn't let me have these games. She didn't even know anything about the game. She just heard the title Grand Theft Auto and just knew it was bad. So,
Well, to be clear, they had Grand Theft Auto on the news. I remember watching one of the morning
oh
shows.
yeah. So she probably saw that. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, dude.
yeah, and then we had what is I don't know. We'll see what 6 ends up looking like final product cuz Garrett OG, we've been hearing some good things about 6. But
We have.
until we see what 6 is, we have what I still call the best Grand Theft Auto game, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Yep,
Yeah, and
I agree.
I mean, I'm sure everyone here knows what Grand Theft Auto is, so I don't even need to explain why it's in my top 10. I'll just tell you my top 3 favorite characters. Number 1, CJ from San Andreas. Love the guy. Number 2, Tommy Vercetti from Vice City. And number 3, Big Smoke from San Andreas. He's a bastard, but he was fucking funny.
Yeah, that
He
was the twist I didn't see coming.
right, like that was like you were legitimately mad. Like and you
Oh,
legitimately felt betrayed when it got to that part in the game. You know?
100%.
You know. But like I said, but he was also funny because
Agree.
I mean, who's gonna forget when you roll up in the drive-through with Big Smoke and he orders like $400 worth of food just for himself. number 9, number
With a
9
num-
large, a number 47. And then CJ and his brother in the front seat, they just both look back at him.
Yeah, man. And I remember like being a kid, and I was like, man, these graphics are the peak.
Well, I mean, they had individual fingers. I mean, they still weren't separated, but
They were separated. Yeah,
they had drawn lines to make distinct fingers. Whereas
right.
before it was just mitten
A
hands.
block. Yeah, a whole block. He's got a whole block. Little Porygon. Oh
So
my god, dude, that's wild.
yeah, and then San Andreas was the first one that my mom finally let me play because by that point I was 16, so she felt that I was old enough to understand the difference and all that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. I think I had got away with some games that I probably shouldn't have had at the age that I had them.
To this day, I don't think my mom knew that I had Mortal Kombat 3 when I was 5 years old.
No, I don't. I don't. Or maybe did really just understand what it was, but yeah.
I mean, I knew what it was. I understood what I was playing.
Uh huh.
I just knew from what I was seeing just in that game, like, probably shouldn't play this in front of mom. Probably shouldn't mention
Yeah,
it either. Got it from a
absolutely
neighbor.
not. Yeah, this. I think I remember you telling me about that too. I think we played it. I think we played it at your house, didn't we? Wait.
We probably
Yeah.
played it a
First,
few times. Now we're talking when I was 5 years old, so
right.
I lost all the time, but I didn't care. It was still fun to keep going back and trying.
Yeah.
You know.
Wow,
So,
man.
but what's your number 7?
It's ironic that you said that because my number 7 is GTA.
Yep.
And originally I think we are only going to do the main, like our main favorite character, so it was CJ. So, but my second favorite character is I can't remember the main character's name from Liberty City. I can't remember his name.
Are you talking
I
about?
don't know that
Are you talking about Grand Theft Auto
Auto
3 or are you talking about
3.
Grand Theft Auto
Auto 3.
4? Good. I think
So 3. Sorry,
so. 3.
sorry. Grand
I
Theft
don't.
Auto
I don't know if we ever got his name because for the
3. Yeah,
longest time we thought that was also Tommy Vercetti.
yeah. So, but so that guy, and I think it's cool, and he's also one of my favorites because he comes back in San Andreas.
Does
If
he?
you remember. Yeah, dude. So you're doing races. It's one of like, gosh, San Andreas was such a great game.
Are you sure
But
you're not thinking of Ken from Vice City?
no, I'm positive he doesn't talk at all. Um,
Okay, if he wasn't
uh,
talking, it definitely wasn't Ken.
yeah, no, he comes in. So this is once you go, you leave like San Andreas area and you go into like the country, and
Hmm.
you're doing like all these dirt races.
Yeah.
One of your
Where
like
you
your
meet the Asian
girlfriend.
guy, the blind Asian guy that for some
Yeah,
reason you think it's a good idea to let him drive.
right, right, and like one of like your girlfriends or something. I don't know. She's mad at you, and then she's got this guy, and it's him. Um,
Oh, I do remember that. Like they don't draw any attention to it. It's just he's there, and
nope.
it's like that's him.
Yep.
Like if you played three, you would recognize him. If you didn't play
Right.
three, then he's just a background character. Like he's her
You
boyfriend. But yeah, I
have
do
no idea
remember
who
that.
he is.
I do remember
Yep.
that. And I didn't
Yeah.
catch it. You had to point it out to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It
okay.
was it was it was funny. So those two, and then um gosh, I know there was one character. I think it's in Vice City. He's always doing cocaine, but he would crack me up. I'm pretty sure it's Vice City. Can't remember the guy's name. It's been so long. But honorable mention to Big Smoke. But yeah,
Was
it
he
was
was he a redneck? Had a mullet?
no.
I
Um,
can picture someone always doing cocaine, but
right,
I can't
right.
pick the character. I can't picture the character. I
Me
just when you said that
neither.
he was it's just when you said like he's always doing cocaine, it's like, oh my god, who was that?
Right, right. And like it's just like a distant memory at this age, but maybe a fever dream. I don't know, but yeah,
I'll just type in cocaine guy.
cocaine guy. So yeah, that's my
Oh,
number seven. What was
oh,
yours?
oh my god. See now I want to play Vice City.
Right? And the katana, right?
Oh yeah, no, bro, no. I think it was San Andreas. You like get the machete, get the mechanic suit, get the hockey mask. I'm Jason.
Yep, yep.
Uh,
Gosh, it
put
was
on
a
the
lot of
cheat
fun.
put on the cheat code for either one of them. Put on the cheat code. Everyone's trying to kill each other.
Oh, crazy, crazy pedestrians. I'll never
Yeah.
forget that.
Yes. Oh,
Crazy pedestrians.
y'all. I'm telling you, if you've only played five, that's been your GTA game, and you're just waiting for six. I implore you, and I'm sure OG will implore you, go on Steam and get Vice City, get three Vice City and San Andreas. Get them, play them.
Yep.
You will not be disappointed. I mean, you might be disappointed by the graphics, but but
You'll
the
be
game,
disappointed by the
but
guy.
the gameplay, you will not be disappointed by. You know, I'm sure
Right.
there's some features in four, five, especially six, that aren't going to be there. But as far as like what makes Grand Theft Auto, all of that is still there in those older games.
Yep. And actually, to note, for going back to Sonic Adventure, that was actually the first game that I beat on my own all the way through.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
All right, all right. So we both had Grand Theft Auto as our number seven. All right. So
Yep. Yep.
number six for me, Resident Evil.
Okay.
Uh, all right. So I mean, obviously, I love Resident Evil. I love this series. Uh, Resident Evil 2 remake is one of the best survival horror games I've ever played, at least for that type of survival horror. I would say the same for Resident Evil 7. I think Resident Evil 8 is a blast to play. Currently, I'm on hardcore, playing it on hardcore, and I am stuck at the Urias boss fight at the Lycan Stronghold. I cannot get past that motherfucker. But my top three characters, my number three is Claire. She is from Resident Evil 2, and all these characters have appeared in multiple games, but Claire, Resident Evil 2. Then you have Jill, Resident Evil 3, and for me, Jill is Bay. Jill is Bay. That is, if I had a wife that was in the Resident Evil universe, it would be Jill. And then my number one is Leon. All right. Now, a little story. First Resident Evil game I ever played was Resident Evil Code Veronica X on PlayStation 2. Uh, my mom had taken me to Denio's auction. Um,
Good
if you're
scenarios.
if you're not from Sacramento, California, you're not going to know what that is. If you are from Sacramento, California, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I also found Pokemon Green for Game Boy Color there all those years ago, by the way.
Yep.
So anyone who says like, "Oh, there was no such thing," bullshit. I actually had it. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I think it
but
originated in Japan.
Yeah, but mine was in English.
Yeah, no, I think they made it after a while, but I think Japan had red and green, and we got red and blue.
Right. No, yeah. Because that's why later it was Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yeah.
So, but Code Veronica X, PlayStation 2. The first part of that game involved turning on a lighter. I could not turn the fucking lighter on. That was the extent of my play of Code Veronica X. I did not play another Resident Evil game until Resident Evil 4 on GameCube. When Jeff and I would take turns. And then from there, that's when I really fell in love with the series and got Resident Evil 5. I bought Resident Evil 5 before I even had a PlayStation 3.
That was dedication.
That was dedication. Like, I was at the PX store for non military people and was walking through the video game section, like, oh, let me see what's out. It's like, oh, Resident Evil 5. Shit, I don't have a PS3 though yet. I gotta wait. Fuck it, I'm buying it now. So
Funny.
yeah, and I still have it to this day. I bought it again some years ago when I got another PlayStation 3, and I still have it. But yeah, and then 6 happened, 7, 8, and then you had 2, waiting for 9. I kind of hope what I've been hearing about 9 is true, but I'm curious as to who the main character is going to be. So, but yeah, Resident Evil. And those are my 3 favorite characters. OG, what's your number 6?
Number six for me, and really it could go up higher. But I've just played so many great games. But number six would have to be Super Smash Brothers.
Mm.
Super Smash Brothers. Yeah, I think this is like one of the early games, and that I played that I, almost beat on my own, but didn't quite beat it all the way on my own. I know me and Andrew had switched off a couple times against Master Hand, but yeah, I just always enjoyed Super Smash Brothers. I remember going to Andrew's house one time, and him and Adam were playing, and they were just going at it. They're like, I was like, what is this game called? I was like, what is? I was like, is that Star Fox? Why is Pikachu kicking him in the head? Super Smash Brothers. I was like, all right, well, let me go ahead and jump in. My first character was Pikachu. I was about an hour in. I was putting the work on everybody. It came down to like me and Andrew battling, and then from there I switched over to Fox. So Fox would be my first favorite character, and then we got Super Smash
Yeah,
Bros.
yeah. You
Melee and
you you
oh
you used Fox a lot, and let me tell you, Fox. Look, I also we also had Star Fox on Nintendo 64, and
yeah,
I'm gonna say this: unless I am playing Star Fox 64, fuck Star Fox. That's how much I lost to fucking Star Fox in Smash Brothers. Fuck Star
yeah, man.
Fox.
Yeah,
You try to
I would,
you try to kick his ass off the fucking ledge. It don't matter how fucking low he's falling. He's zip zip, and he's back.
yeah, dude, it was good. I
And
think
then you
my second favorite would be Marth.
okay. So
Yeah,
uh, all right. And then who's your third?
third, Ness.
Ness. Yeah,
Good
yeah,
old
yeah.
Ness.
Once Ness got introduced, you did use him a lot too. Now here's
I
my
did.
here's my story with Super Smash Brothers. I still remember the very first commercial for that, the very first ad for that.
Yes.
Imagine
Yep.
me and you, and me, so happy together. And it's Pikachu, it's Mario, I think it was Donkey Kong and Yoshi, and they're just holding hands, skipping through a meadow, and then all of a sudden they start beating each other up.
Yeah, you're like, what's happening here?
And it was Super Smash Brothers, and I told my mom, I was like, "Hey mom, there's this game coming out. It has Mario, it has Pikachu, it has Donkey Kong, And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then I showed it to her at Toys R Us. Oh, Toys R Us. And she's like, "Okay." So she buys it for me. We walk out the store. And I'm like, "Oh, mom, by the way, it's a fighting game. You think I
By
was
the
gonna?
way.
You think I was gonna tell her that shit beforehand? Fuck no."
Oh yeah, absolutely not. That's a that's a that's a
Guys,
after.
my mom wouldn't let me watch Rugrats, but I could watch All Real Monsters and South Park. I wasn't allowed to watch Rugrats until I think 9 or 10.
So I think we did have this conversation though. You
We
we didn't watch South Park until much later, and I think by then you already cleared for Rugrats.
Yeah, I still feel like it was like 8 years old was when I watched South Park and then described an episode to her, and I guess she just didn't get the full context of what I was
Yeah.
saying. Either that, or I was very
What?
picky about what I told her.
Yeah, we didn't watch South Park until about fourth grade.
But either way,
Yeah.
I couldn't watch Rugrats, but I could watch All Real Monsters.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So
I couldn't
yeah,
watch Cow and Chicken. I couldn't watch well Ren and
couch.
Stimpy. Ren and Stimpy I understand, but
Yeah.
I couldn't
Silly.
watch Ed, Ed and Eddie. You
Huh.
know,
Well,
Cartoon Network was wild back in the day.
it was wild. It had a lot of grimy cartoons. So
You know, now that I'm thinking about it as an adult,
yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of cartoons I'd be like, all right, hold on, kid. You can't watch. Cow and Chicken just has a bunch of ass cheeks just all over the screen, so super weird. Super weird. But yeah, that's my number six.
so okay, no, very good pick. All right, I'm curious if we're gonna have a repeat of number seven here. I'm curious
Number five.
for number five. I wonder if we're gonna have another number seven situation.
Oh yeah, okay. We'll see. We'll see.
So my number five,
I'll laugh if we do.
there is only one game for it, but they announced the sequel,
Nope, nope.
Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay, okay. No, no, we didn't match up on this one.
Okay, okay. But Hogwarts Legacy is number five on my list. Uh, guys, my fellow Harry Potter fans, how perfect was that fucking game? Like there, of course, there was room for improvement in a few things, but the overall experience and the recreation of that world, how perfect was that game? It was so perfect, so like,
Like
and then
perfect.
they even had it to where it could connect to your Pottermore. So whatever your wand is was on Pottermore. That was what your wand could be in the game, just automatically. Whatever your house was on Pottermore, the game would automatically read that, and that was your house in the game. Slytherin pride, baby, Slytherin pride. Like
Yeah.
the broom flying, I thought was excellent, just excellent. They could have made the rooms a little faster though, but the actual flying mechanics I thought were excellent. The spell casting mechanics phenomenal. I mean, there's a learning curve if you're used to playing it with a controller and then you try playing it with a mouse and keyboard. There's a bit of a learning curve there. You know, you got to learn a whole other coordination. But the actual spellcasting mechanics with the favoriting system, or I mean, not the favoriting system, but the
Hotkey.
yeah, the hotkey system. So,
Okay.
OG, you already know I could go on and on and on.
And you know, reasonably so. Reasonably so.
And my three favorite characters from Hogwarts Legacy. Number three, Ominous Gaunt. He was the blind Slytherin. Uh,
Yep.
I love that his name was Gaunt, like Marvolo Gaunt, as in
Hmm.
the uncle of Voldemort. But I also
Yep.
like that he wasn't bad. He was actually
Nope.
against the dark arts, you know, furthering that bullshit that Ron, who is my favorite Harry Potter character, by the way, Ron, but that bullshit that Ron said in the first book and first movie about, like, there's no witch or wizard who went bad that wasn't in Slytherin. Man, like, kid.
I don't know that he's necessarily wrong.
You know, but Ron is my favorite character. But in Hogwarts Legacy, my number three was Ominous Gaunt because I like that they did that. My number two, Sebastian Sallow, another
Yep.
Slytherin. That was I loved his story. Like he was trying to get into the dark arts, but it was all because he was trying to save his sister from this curse that was put on her.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
loved that. You know, showing some depth there that hey, maybe not everyone who dabbles in dark arts is a bad person.
Right.
Maybe they just don't see any other option for something.
Right. Maybe they tried and have thoroughly exhausted every other option.
Yeah. And then my number one favorite character, Matilda Weasley, Professor Weasley. I just that motherly aspect that she had. Just I loved it. I just I wanted to have not Nasi Nadi Natty. I wanted to have Natty on there, but I feel like we didn't get a whole lot of her, and really her story kind of just revolved around saving animals, which
Right.
awesome, of course, but it's just like it just didn't have the same level of depth as the situation with Ominous and Sebastian. You
Oh
know,
yeah, no, not even close.
and then like I said, Professor Weasley, like she just had this real motherly demeanor, about her that just really spoke to me. And yeah, yeah, that's my number five, man. I can go on, but then this recording would be 10 hours.
Right, right. Um, well, um, my number five is Zelda.
Okay,
Legend of Zelda, specifically Majora's Mask.
yeah.
That that's my favorite Zelda game. I to the point where I like after Majora's Mask, which for transparency, I till this day haven't all the way beat. Um, I haven't got a chance to go back. I literally have it on GameCube, in the garage somewhere, buried with the guide on how to play it from when I was a kid,
Hmm.
from Nintendo 64, because
I still have my guides from when we were kids.
yeah, it's because I at some point in life,
You just knew.
doesn't matter.
You just knew. Like I'm gonna need this one day.
I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna play it. So, I just there's just something about Majora's Mask that I really enjoy. And really enjoyed when I was a kid. It was
Well, it's
frustrating
it's
to
it's
start
darker than
over.
Ocarina of Time. I'll tell you that damn much.
Oh, it's pretty dark. I don't know, man. Ocarina of Time, those little like those the re-deads, bro, and the screams. No, that was some stuff for a little kid. It was terrifying. Um, it was absolutely terrifying. Having them hump your face and whatnot, it was wild. Um, but favorite characters, man. I think Zelda just introduces so many um, through well, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is really hard to like narrow down three. I mean, I think that our character Link, he's cool, but he's not one of my favorites. He's very much yeah, like he doesn't talk, right? Like
Yeah.
I think for the most part, you're kind of just going along with what they're saying. Like they're literally talking you through a path. So
Right, right. If
yeah.
you can't come up with any characters for that, it's fine. I had no characters for Arc.
So well, I do like Navi. So his little hey, listen. Um,
That was my notification for a while, by the way. Hey.
hey, listen. That cracked me up. Um, I enjoy the so Majora's Mask had missions in them or tasks, right? Or part of the story.
Hmm.
However, you had to do certain things on certain days because and for those of you that aren't aware, by like the end of day three, the moon crashes on the Earth and the game's over
Yeah,
unless you stop it, right? So you have to do things
you are
in a
literally on
certain
a timer.
you're on a timer. You have to do things accordingly. So there was one mission where this guy and this lady they're getting married and like they're nervous and there's like a miscommunication and if you don't do the missions right, then they don't get married. So I thought that was a really cool mission.
Yeah.
Because you have to make sure you like get the letter in the mail at the right time and do this and that and say the right things at the right time. So those couple as one. Number two was the little girl on Romania Ranch. This is a mission where like she is, practicing her bow and she's shooting at these drawn up aliens because she is certain the aliens are coming and abducting the cows. Listen, aliens come on one of those nights
I
to abduct the
remember
cow.
that. I
Yeah,
remember that.
and if
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You when she first tells you, you think like little girl, little girl, and then it's like, oh my god, she was telling the truth.
She is telling the truth. There are aliens here right now, and I'm riding and shooting them. So, and if you don't do the mission, you go back to the farm, and she's not the same. I won't spoil it for those that haven't finished it, but let's just say she does get abducted.
Yeah, there's some dark
Was
stuff
not-
in those early or in those Zelda games on Nintendo
yeah,
64.
yep,
I can't
yep.
speak for the Super Nintendo or original NES ones. I can't even really speak for any of the ones after that because didn't really play much of them. But Majora's Mask Conquer, there's some dark stuff in there.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. So, yeah, Zelda, Majora's Mask.
All right, all right. Did you say your number three? I feel like you just said Navi and the Romani girl.
Yeah, I don't know that I have
Eh, it's fine.
number
Um,
three.
I mean, other than Link, I mean, I would say Tail, which was Tattle's or yeah, Tattle's brother from Majora's
Mhm.
Mask. Tattle was the fairy companion in Majora's Mask, but it's really just because he's purple.
Yeah, I like Navi from um,
there's
Ocarina of
there's
Time.
definitely more of a connection to Navi. There's definitely more of a connection there. But yeah, and fun fact, I am currently playing both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on 3DS.
Nice on
So
the 3DS.
yeah, well, it's actually a 2DS, but it's fine. It allows me to play the game. That's enough.
Right, right, right.
So okay, uh, number four, Assassin's Creed.
Oh.
Now here's a fun story. The original Assassin's Creed came out in 2007, and this is after Prince of Persia: and the Two Thrones had come out, I believe. And I love the Prince of Persia series. It's not on this list, but I do love that series, and I do want to try out the new one that's coming out called Lost Crown. I do want to try it out, but yeah. So the original Assassin's Creed, OG and I were at OG's house, and a commercial comes on, and we just see this Middle Eastern guy, we'll say,
Hmm,
dressed all
hmm.
in white with a hood, and he's just jumping from building to building and doing all this cool shit. And we're both just like, "What is this?" And it was like Assassin's Creed. And it's like, "Oh, that game looks cool. Well, I'd like to play that." And then I was at Walmart. We had both kind of forgotten about it by this point, and I was at Walmart and I was going through the video game section, and there was Assassin's Creed, and I was like, "Oh, OG said he wanted to try this out. All right." So I bought it, and then was waiting for OG to come back from work, and then he comes home, and then I'm like, "Hey, bought this. You said you wanted to try this, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah." And then we played it, and at least for me, the rest was history because when Assassin's Creed 2 came out, oh, I got that shit. I haven't played every single Assassin's Creed, but I've played a few of them, and I love that series. And I guess contrary to popular opinion, I like what they did with the last three, Odyssey, Origins, and Valhalla. I liked what they did with that. I really enjoyed that, you know. But my favorite Assassin's Creed so far still is Assassin's Creed Black Flag because pirates. Okay, and yeah, that game is fucking awesome. And my three favorite characters from the Assassin's Creed series: Edward Kenway, the main character of Black Flag. Then after that would be Connor Kenway, his grandson from Assassin's Creed 3. And then after that would be Cassandra from Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Okay.
And I'm sure most of you probably know this, but for those who don't, Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed were both made by Ubisoft, and at least initially, like within the first three games, Assassin's Creed was viewed as the spiritual successor to Prince of Persia, and that's why we didn't really get any more Prince of Persias other than Forgotten Sands, which is probably my favorite Prince of Persia. But at the same time, I haven't played Warrior Within, and I don't remember much from Two Thrones. but but yeah, but other than that, like that's the relationship between the two, and every so often you'll see something that kind of connects back to Prince of Persia. Like Odyssey has a DLC that connects back to Prince of Persia, and you can get the King's Sword, I believe it is, from Two Thrones. So yeah, there's some homages and whatnot in the Assassin's Creed games to the Prince of Persia games, which I love. So that's my number four.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, um, my number four is gonna be GoldenEye 007.
Ooh, my first ever first person shooter.
Yeah, man, I think that was it for a lot of us. I first person,
A lot of us
yeah,
older folk.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that was it, man. I mean, some people had, Duck Hunt, but that's technically a
I
first
don't know.
person shooter,
I mean, I guess technically, but I've never thought of it that way.
right? Yeah, dude. That game was just so much fun. Um, it was man, between multiplayer and the story mode, it was fun. And I
I
think sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I actually tried playing GoldenEye on the Switch, and let me tell you, those controls. Whoo! I don't know how we did it back in the day.
Oh, with the Nintendo 64 controller, that thing was rough. We did it.
See, and I'm not
Um,
using a Nintendo 64 controller with it now. I'm using the fucking Switch, the
yeah,
Switch controller. And
yeah.
man, I don't know
And
how
then
we
you
did
make
it back in the day, but we did it.
your Nintendo 64 controller about 15 pounds by adding a Rumble Pack extension with the memory card on it
Yep.
and batteries. Yeah,
Man, I'm telling
yeah.
you, when I loaded GoldenEye up on the Switch, and I was just going through like the level setup, and it just going through like the files and all that, it just instantly took me back to Saturday morning at OG's house. OG setting up a GoldenEye match. His mom's in the kitchen making breakfast, wheat waffles and sausage and whatnot, and
Yep.
it was just like I was instantly back in that environment, and I was just like, oh, everything seems right with the world right now.
Right. Simpler times. Gosh, just good simpler times. But yeah, man. I just really enjoyed that. From the story missions to the multiplayer, like you said, we're just hanging out, playing some GoldenEye, using the golden gun sometimes.
Yeah, they,
Facility.
yeah, with the bathroom, which was
The
also a
ba-
level in Perfect Dark.
exactly. It sure was. They paid homage to GoldenEye there.
Yeah, but you can't forget the
Favorite
bunker.
character. Oh yeah, Bunker.
I'll
Okay,
never, I'll,
so
I'll never forget it. You completely screwed me on the. I think it was the. I'm pretty sure this happened on the bunker, but
Bunker.
you went down through a hatch, right? And I
Mhm.
was, and I was chasing after you, trying to get you, but wasn't able to hit you. Moving target, all that bullshit. 6 years old, fuck off. Okay, and I go down the hatch, and there was probably maybe 30 seconds to a minute before I got to the hatch and was able to go down. And your ass had set up a bunch of floating um, motion bombs or whatever.
Proximity mines, yeah.
Yes, bunch of floating proximity mines, almost in a perfect like cylinder around the fucking hatch and ladder. So as soon as I start coming down, boom, 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 dead.
Oh man, yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking about, just blowing up all the monitors and creating floating proximity mines. Yeah, yeah. Gosh, I don't know, man. I just feel like games just aren't as fun as they used to be, and that may be because of age, that may be because of the environment and who you're playing with, be able to play with, and just
Yeah, you know.
yeah,
And back then, we weren't putting too much thought into the games we were playing. We weren't sitting there analyzing every aspect. We were just playing a game.
yep, and just enjoying it if we could enjoy it, of course,
Yeah.
as it was,
Yeah.
as it was. But yeah, man, that GoldenEye is my number four.
That's an excellent number four. That is an excellent number four. All right, now it's time for the honorable mentions. My number three honorable mention, Super Smash Brothers.
Nice. Yep. Yep.
So it was almost Star Wars Battlefront 2, but
Ooh, okay.
yeah, but Super Smash Brothers is just Let me tell you, the feeling I got when I got my Switch and I had Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which I'd never played before. Before that, the last one I had played was Melee or whatever the second one was. Pretty sure that was
Yeah.
no, that was Brawl. Brawl was the second one. So that was the last one I'd
Melee.
ever played. I had
It was Melee and Brawl.
oh, it was Melee and then Brawl.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, I didn't play Brawl and I didn't play four, which I guess four is the one that was only on uh 3DS. So
Okay.
I hadn't played Super Smash Brothers since whatever year Melee came out,
Mhm.
and I get in a match, and it's just like it was before, but with a bunch of new and awesome characters, you
Yep.
know. And I stuck with Link for quite a while, and he's my number one favorite for Super Smash Brothers. Um, and then of course my number two is Roy. He was the main one I would use back in the Melee days. Was Roy. And then Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, they added, and this is going to surprise you because Sora is not one of my top three from Kingdom Hearts. Sora is not one of my top three.
Oh,
Sephiroth is my number three. I love playing as
awesome.
Sephiroth.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll have to. Well, I guess we'll have to jump on the Switch eventually and try to play Super Smash.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. I didn't give my top three for GoldenEye, huh?
No, but I wasn't really sure who you would say other than, well, 007 and maybe 006.
So it would be 007, followed by Baron Samedi, and then Oddjob will be number three.
Oh, the guy with the hat.
With yeah, and then honorable mention to Natalia.
Okay. Okay. I remember even as a kid, like during like the
Yep.
loading screen, and then Natalia would pop up and she'd just stand there, and both of us were just like, "Whoa."
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And the movie, oh boy, that was
uh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Our James Bond that we grew up with initially was Pierce Brosnan, guys, and
Yeah,
then
that
and then we
James
got
Bond.
Daniel Craig. So I love Daniel Craig's James Bond, but my favorite probably is also. Actually, I don't know because I don't remember the last time I watched a Pierce Brosnan James Bond. I just know that I would often marathon the Daniel Craig movies because I enjoyed them so much. But
Yeah.
then again, what I can remember from Die Another Day at the very least, yeah, he's probably still my favorite. I think Sean Connery was the best one, but my favorite probably would be Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Sean Connery, James Bonds, and I'm definitely gonna still go with Pierce Brosnan. Brosnan.
Yeah, but I mean, you're you, I'm me.
Yeah, yeah. Daniel Craig, I put on a good list of KGB members. Not quite James Bond for me. I know a lot of people liked him.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked him a lot. I didn't care for too much for his second movie. And I really didn't care too much for No Time to Die, which was his final movie. But in no way do I say that against him. It's just those two movies themselves I just didn't really care for. I mostly prefer Casino Royale and Skyfall. I thought Spectre was good though. So, but uh, but yeah. So, what's your number three honorable mention?
Well, my number three honorable mention would be Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy. I'll get for all all the
You
greatness that you mentioned.
bastard! You only gave it an honorable mention.
I did. I did. I just I enjoyed it, and that was the first I
You're
guess
you're expelled.
the first solo RPG that I played that I was able to enjoy that wasn't like MMO or whatnot
Yeah.
recently. So again, all the things you mentioned, the graphics I thought were superb. The story was great.
That
Just the game itself
that
was
was
just
the
phenomenal.
castle that we read about, and that was the castle that we saw in the movies. It just was.
It was, and they just did a great job. I I don't have any issues with the game. I do have recommendations for the next one and just things that we've discussed, but I don't have any issues.
No
I
complaints.
thought. Nope, I have no complaints about the game at all. And
So
unfortunately, it just didn't. These other games that I mentioned just hit a little different.
right, right, yeah. I mean, and that's why Hogwarts Legacy I think was only my number five.
Right. So,
Yeah,
yeah, honorable mention, Hogwarts Legacy.
and your top three characters.
Top three characters. So I think you cover two of them.
Okay,
With
I
Ominous,
figured those two had to have been two of them for
yeah,
you.
with Ominous and Sebastian. The third one, I don't know that I remember having or liking another character as much. I mean, maybe a little narcissistic, but I don't know. My character, I like that character. I think that's my third
And I
favorite.
like that
Just
our characters actually talked.
yeah, they actually talked. They had voices, and dude was awesome. Not
It
gonna lie.
was, yeah. Like, okay, I wanted to say mine too, but again, I guess as you said, like, narcissism.
Yeah, hey, maybe, but I thought it was great. I mean, if you're creating a game where you create your own character, I feel like if they do a good job, and they did a good job,
They did a
good job.
they did a great job.
So, yeah.
All right, all right. So my number two honorable mention: Batman Arkham series.
Okay. Okay.
And if you were to say, well, which one's your favorite out of the series? Now, there's Asylum, there's City, there's Origins, and there's Night. Um,
Hmm.
it's really up in the air for me for which one I like more. But my top, it's between for my favorite one. It's between Arkham Asylum and Arkham Knight. Arkham Asylum, I love that setting. I love that it's set entirely within an insane asylum, and there are some scary moments, particularly pertaining to Scarecrow. And
I'm
it
sorry.
also it also had a fourth wall break. Brilliant fourth wall break. And what happened is that Scarecrow gets you, right?
Hmm.
And then the screen flashes and flickers and everything, and it just acts like the game crashed. So you're sitting there like, oh fuck, what happened? Like, why'd it crash? And then like it starts playing up the opening card, like developer cards and all of that, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like it just completely crashed and reset. And then it goes to the main menu, and then you have to press play game and do all of that, and you're just like, god damn it, like how far back am I? And then it starts off at the very beginning of the game, and you're just like, oh my god, it erased my game. And you see the Batmobile, and then you see the Joker driving the Batmobile, and it was all part of a Scarecrow hallucination.
Wow.
Yeah, I've watched other YouTubers like reaction to that moment when they're playing it for the first time, and all of them were just like be like, "Oh my god, what just happened?" But yeah, so the Batman Arkham series, and then my favorite characters, and this mainly comes from the non-story content, uh,
Hmm.
you know, which my so it would be my favorite characters to play as,
Okay.
and my number three is Batgirl. I love playing as her. My number two, this might not surprise you, Nightwing.
Right.
And then my number one favorite character to play at is Harley Quinn, which might also not surprise you because you know how much
Right.
I am in love with Harley Quinn.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, a lot of people would say like, Corey, don't stick your dick in crazy. For Harley Quinn, I might stick my dick in crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey. Like what you like.
Yeah, I like what I like, man. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's my number two honorable mention. How about you?
Well, my number two honorable mention is gonna be the Pokemon series.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
man. Should you tell him the story from Reno, or should I?
Um,
I
you have to
lost.
remind.
I forgot my Game Boy inside.
Oh yeah, but it was actually in the back of your case.
Yeah, which was around my
Yeah,
neck that I had opened up and looked inside of.
yeah, yeah. That was funny. That was funny.
Everyone in the car wanted to beat my ass.
Yeah, you had everybody looking for this Game Boy. That's funny.
So, but
That's funny.
Pokemon
Yeah,
series, okay.
yeah, man. They're just, it was, man, from the day it launched, um, I was, I was hooked. Stopped watching the show. I think after what, Johto? Um, I don't know if I finished Johto or not, but
I never
I
even
mean, my man,
finished Kanto.
yeah, my man Ash had been on the journey, and that shit was just too long, guys. But
It's
I
like
heard
it's
recently,
been 5 years and you still haven't hit the Elite Four.
yeah, dude, oh man, it was rough. He was, let's just say, he was not very good with the Pokemon. But I mean, recently here we have in Japan, we hit the last season for Ash and his
Yeah,
journey.
which I thought would never
So
happen. And I don't mean that
yeah,
as a don't mean that as a dig. I mean that as like, but he's always been the main character.
hmm always. So I will turn that on for my son. My well, both of them can watch it. One can actually enjoy it more than the other, but
Yeah.
I'll turn it on for them because he did watch. He's watched quite a bit of Pokemon. So I'll turn that on for him and we'll he'll get to see. I mean, he skipped a lot, but he'll get to watch Ash's last journey. So I thought that was cool.
I actually forgot that that was happening, and so now that you brought that up, it's like, you know what? I need to turn that on too, just to watch it, because Ash started us on our Pokemon journeys, and
Yeah,
we have to see his end.
yeah, that's a must. So, the Pokemon games for sure. I probably won't rate the games because they're all very similar. And the characters, I'm not overly attached to any of them. Um, maybe Brock, but I mean, yeah. So I'll do top three Pokemon for me. I don't know if I would be the OG if I didn't say Blastoise because I picked, the blue version to start. So Blastoise will be one of my favorites for sure. One of the older ones, and then I'm gonna have to say number two would be like Mega Gengar. I was just a very legit character, very OP. I think he got eventually banned in competitive play, but Mega Gengar number two, and then number three, I could say like a Hisuian Gudra or Shifu, one of the newer ones, but not going off of basic, just competitive play. I think I'm gonna say Marowak. Um, don't know why I like Marowak and Cubone so much, but I just think they're super awesome. Concept. The skull and bone just combination, they just look cool, and I feel like they could have did so much more with them. They haven't. Maybe they will in the future. Maybe we'll get like a Mega Marowak or something, or like a Ultra um, Marrow. I don't know. Maybe we'll get another evolution, a different region form. But yeah, those are my top three. Um, I like the potential story behind Cubone and Marowak and Kangaskhan, the mix up, if you will, the change of thought later on
Hmm.
for those. So, but
Okay.
yeah, that is it.
Damn. Well, for me, shit. There's just so many goddamn Pokemon out there.
There are.
Uh, I mean, Liepard is definitely one of my absolute favorites.
I remember that.
Uh, fuck. It's like there's ones that I want to say, but I don't want to say them because I feel like I'm gonna then think of others after, and it'd be like, oh god damn it. Like now I feel bad because I
That's
basically
right.
disrespected a Pokemon. But I will say Liepard. Um, I will say Liepard though. So okay. Um, all right, and then moving on to number one honorable mention, The Elder Scrolls.
Oh, only honorable mention for the Elder Scrolls?
Yeah, and that took a lot of thought.
Oh,
And that took a lot of thought. It was initially
Ooh,
in the top 10. It was initially in the top 10, but then as I was doing my list, I was like, shit, sorry, Elder Scrolls. But
ain't no
it,
way, Corey. Ain't no way we played Maryland how we played Maryland, and Oblivion how we played
I
Oblivion, and
introduced you to
Skyrim how we
Elder
played Skyrim.
Scrolls. I introduced you to
Exactly.
Elder Scrolls. I bought that game
Exactly.
on a random whim, not knowing what it was. Game of the Year edition at Blockbuster.
Exactly. And ain't no way we played that. Listen, man, ain't no way. Ain't no way. I think you have to rethink about this, man. But
I'm
I'll,
always
I'll, I'll,
rethinking it, but I always come to the same conclusion.
dog. I don't know. I'm gonna need to see this top three that you got, cause ain't no way Elder Scrolls ain't in there.
I mean, it's gonna be real mad because I'm gonna do the top three, and the top three might make sense to you, but then you're gonna stop and think it's like Cyberpunk beat out Elder Scrolls for you.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
I mean,
I don't accept
it did.
it. I don't accept it. I can't. I can't accept it.
You
I
rebuke it in
mean,
the name of Akatosh.
yes. I mean, I get they're all old, and you haven't played them like a new game as of recently. You have played it recently, but you haven't played it in a new game recently. But man, ain't no way. We'll see. Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
But
We'll keep going for the sake of time.
all right, but yeah, my number one honorable mention is Elder Scrolls. What's your
God.
what's your number one honorable mention?
Number one honorable mention is gonna be
All
Minecraft.
right, but
Minecraft.
by the way, guys, Garrett OG is wanting to choke me like Homer would choke Bart,
But yeah, man. But yeah, sounds about right.
which I also couldn't watch, by the way, as a kid.
Yeah. Anyway, for me, it wasn't worth watching.
So
But
Minecraft.
yeah,
I think you've mentioned this before that you I just couldn't get into Minecraft, man. I just couldn't.
I don't obviously play it a lot, but my son loves it. He is my oldest. He's obsessed. So I like playing it with him. It's fun. We have fun. We build things. We do things. We just it's a game that at this point and at his age that we can play together and just kind of have fun. We also play Mario Kart every now and then,
Hmm.
family Mario Kart, but for all intents and purposes, it's just a game that we play together. So that's why it's there.
Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, I guess I really can't say too much about that, considering I only gave Elder Scrolls an honorable mention. So it's like,
Hmm.
guys, trust me, I'm gonna get an earful when this recording is done.
Yeah, man.
So, all right, now we're moving on to our top three. Our top three. My top three is Mortal Kombat. I
Okay.
I love the Mortal Kombat series. I mentioned earlier that I had Mortal Kombat 3 on Super Nintendo that I got from a neighbor that my mom did not know about, and yeah, that was my first Mortal Kombat, and I just like okay, I'm not super big into fighting games, but if we're gonna talk about from going back and then all the way up to recent years, um, like Mortal Kombat has drawn me in, Tekken, and Injustice. Like those are the only fighting games that I'll really play. Okay, and yeah, I love the brutality of it. I just it's to me it's fun, and I let me know in the comments. Let me guys know. No,
Let
uh,
you guys know.
let me know in the comments, guys. What was so wrong with Mortal Kombat 10 and 11? Because I always hear people say that those games were a disaster. I've even heard people say that 9 was a disaster, which was Mortal Kombat that came out in 2011. But I don't see what's so wrong with those. Because I thought all three of them, story wise, I love the fuck out of it. And I thought it made for a nice little trilogy. And gameplay wise, I'm like, it's Mortal Kombat. Like, and there's obviously been some innovation since Mortal Kombat 3 and, Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon, you know. So just let me know in the comments, like, what was so wrong with those last three? because I've yet to hear anyone who says they were a disaster actually say why they were a disaster. But on the flip side, I did play Shaolin Monks, didn't care for it much, but I hear a lot of people really like Shaolin Monks. But my top three characters in the Mortal Kombat series, OG, this one you pretty much already know. It was my very first Xbox name, Cyrax.
Yeah.
And I loved Cyrax even more once I played Mortal Kombat 9 because they gave us his backstory a little bit, and so you also got to play as human Cyrax and see how that worked. It was fucking awesome. He's black, didn't expect that. That made it even more awesome. And then my second favorite, Reptile. I don't care if some people think he's one dimensional. A character does not need to have layers for me to like them over other characters. For me, they don't. Okay? You have your favorites, I have mine. And in Mortal Kombat 9, let me tell you, my best tag team duo was Cyrax and Reptile. Okay? Okay. And then my number three favorite character in Mortal Kombat is Sub Zero.
Okay.
And I cannot wait to play Mortal Kombat 1. Um, this may sound crazy, y'all, but I've never played as Nitara back in the day. I've never even cared about Nitara. But seeing her design in Mortal Kombat 1 and even hearing the voice work that Megan Fox does for her, like I just like her voice, and I think she looks fucking badass. Like I can't wait to try out Natara and see what Natara can do. Okay, and I got a thing for vampires because I do know that about her that she's actually a vampire or a vampire like species. But yeah, there we go.
Okay. Okay. Um.
So do you want to pick out some Mortal Kombat characters for your top three out of that, or do you want to just do your number three? Because
Uh.
you're not anywhere near as into Mortal Kombat as I was. You pretty much was done with it after Armageddon.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty much. Pretty much. I mean, I think one of my favorites has always been Scorpion. Obviously, there's a very um. I mean, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and probably Smoke. Smoke.
Yeah,
Smoke. So
Smoke was real fun to play as too in Mortal Kombat 9.
yeah. Yeah. It's probably it for me. Those right there.
Okay, okay,
Those right there.
and then
Um, my top three, huh? We're there, huh? It's time for that. We had mentioned this earlier. Perfect Dark, my number three. Um,
okay,
yeah, yeah. Talk about hours spent in the game. I think there was one day where I know I hit 24 hours, and I think Andrew had hit 48 playing it. Being up, not playing it straight, but being up and
yeah,
playing it. Dude, like we would all get together and then, play four players, but then have all the Sims on there and the crazy Sims, and like we're trying to survive. There was just so many dynamics to this game. So like, I know people call GoldenEye like, you know, the 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 gold standard for that shooting game, but very much so Perfect Dark easily surpassed it if you really think about it. GoldenEye is like it's the nostalgic. It's definitely the number one. It's the original, right? But Perfect
mhm.
Dark very much surpassed it in every aspect. It was absolutely nuts playing that game and how much we played it. It was just so much fun.
It,
Um, favorite, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and what's funny is that the main female character of Perfect Dark, I always thought looked like what's her face from CSI, or rather, I thought what's her face from CSI looked like the girl
Clark.
from Perfect Dark.
Yeah, 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 man. What a great game. What a great game.
Yeah.
don't really have too many favorite characters from there, just because you have your main character. There's not too much more than that. But probably Elvis, the alien, on there. Your little
Oh
alien.
yeah.
Yeah, Elvis, and then obviously Joanna Dark. So just those two. Uh,
Okay.
Great game.
Okay. Okay. Ah, yeah, that was a great game. Elvis the Alien. I forgot about Elvis the Alien.
Yep,
And you know what? Now you got me thinking because there's a YouTuber I follow. His channel is Elvis the Alien.
that's funny.
I wonder if there's a correlation there. He's never mentioned Perfect Dark in any of the videos that I've watched, and he mainly does like video or movie reviews and TV show reviews, and he'll like walk you
Hmm.
through everything and show footage. But I don't think he's ever mentioned Perfect Dark. But it's just funny that you said Elvis the Alien, and it's like, huh, hmm. It's like, and he looks like he could be in our age range.
Right.
So, all right. Well, number two for me, the Final Fantasy series.
Final Fantasy.
Yep. The
Nice.
first. Now, back in the day, PlayStation 1. I had a neighbor named Ruslan, and I watched him play Final Fantasy 8. And as a kid at the time, it threw me off because they cussed to a certain extent. So like they would say, I believe they said shit at one point. They definitely said bastard at one point, and that really threw me as a kid for some reason. And yeah, I remember watching him play that, watching him play 9, and then 10 was coming out. And I remember, OG, you made the comment because we both saw a an ad commercial for 10, and is when they were shoe sliding down some cables, and I'm just like, oh, and you're just like, what is that actually in the game, or is that just a cutscene? Well, it was a cutscene, but but no, Final Fantasy X was the first one I ever played, and is to this day, along with its sequel 10-2, my favorite Final Fantasy. So 10 and 10-2 are my two favorite Final Fantasy games to this day. All right, I
Wow.
know some people found Titus annoying, and I can understand why. But I've always loved that character, and I've always loved Yuna. And I had a huge crush on Riku when 10-2 was coming out. Not so much during 10, but when 10-2 was coming out, and she had that bikini top on, and that short skirt, and that thong, man,
That was it, huh?
that was it. That was it. You know. Uh, so top three characters for me. My number one would be Titus from Final Fantasy X, Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, and then this probably comes as no surprise to anyone, Cloud from Final Fantasy 7.
Okay. Okay. Right. Wow. Is it we're on number two, huh? Number two for
Yep.
me.
Yep.
Number two is the Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah. Another one that you showed me that I guess, you just
Yeah. Back when
got
you were like, I hate RPGs, and I'm just like,
yeah,
hey, I know you don't like RPGs, but you might like this one.
yeah, go try this. Go try this game. And yeah, loved it. But specifically, as Old Republic 2 was my favorite. I still, still enjoy SWTOR. So Star Wars Old Republic. So that whole series, that franchise,
Yeah.
and I did play Jedi Knight Outcast on the PC back
Mm-hmm.
before even internet existed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Shadow Trooper with a
Um,
purple lightsaber. That was always me.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, we
And
played
it's
against.
absolute bullshit that the remake was delayed indefinitely. Fucking EA.
EA doing EA things, and not
Yep.
the good EA from Yu Yu Hakusho, the bad EA that makes games.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, dude, Knights of the Old Republic. that game just hits so different than like any other game I've ever played. The story is phenomenal. The twist
Hmm.
at the end, mind blowing. You're just
Yeah,
not ready.
and you knew
I
about that before I did. And so,
oh,
and I remember you telling me it's like, yeah, I know, and I was waiting for you to get to that part. And it's
yeah.
yeah, it's like you find out that you are Revan, and it's like, so you've been getting your own backstory this whole fucking time. Like it was just like, are you kidding me? Are you serious?
Well, specifically the Knights of Old Republic 2 for me. So
Okay. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah. But hey, no. I'm glad that you mentioned that for Knights of Old Republic 1. That was a crazy twist. But for me, the just the betrayal from Kreia.
Ah,
But
yeah,
like this character, like, the whole story is just dark. Like it's in a period where nothing is going right for anyone. Anyone that you've come across has issues and problems. The story is just so dark. Kreia is a dark character. Your companions are pretty dark, and depending on what side you align with, in the force, just gets darker or it gets somewhat a little better, but really not too much. It's just it's a dark, deep story, and I like it. I don't know.
yeah.
It was just it for me. So,
I know Kreia is in your top three for the favorite characters. I know she is.
so absolutely. So for the series as a whole, I will include SWOTOR, in which I will add gosh, I can't remember the guy's name. He's like on the main page for SWOTOR. Um, he was the Jedi Master during that time that Mal gets killed. Um, whatever, can't remember his name, but
Oh, I know his name.
Cal. Yeah.
He's the Iridonian, the Zabrak, right?
No,
Oh
no, I
no,
don't think
okay,
he's ever.
never mind. I'm
It
thinking of
was
someone else.
his. The Zabrak was the battle master during that period.
Okay,
Um, but anyway, he's my number one just based off the lore behind him. I can't remember his name, but obviously I didn't follow him too hard. But he's my favorite out of the Star Wars of those three games. Number two is so number three. So sorry, I'll put him in number three. Number two is going to have to put oh man, that's just so many good characters. Um, number two will be hmm, I don't know that really. I'm gonna go with him as being number two and Krey as number one. I think that's it. No one
okay,
else really was impactful as just those two for me. One being the story itself, and then two being just the character and power
yeah,
influence that he was. Then helps depict, the power level for Darth Malgus. So I'm gonna
yeah.
go with that.
Okay. For me, my number one, Revan, and
Yeah.
then my number two, Mitra Surik. She is the main character that you play as for KOTOR 2.
Hmm.
Um, Another name that I fell in love with. And my number three from SWOTOR is HK-51, specifically from Knights of the Fallen Empire. Um,
Okay.
I just I and it's funny because it's like there when you it's kind of like Proxy from Force Unleashed, where he has a directive to kill you.
Hmm.
And I might actually be mixing him up with another one because there was HK 50, and then I'm pretty sure there was HK 51, and then there was HK 55. But whichever one was part of it for Knights of the Fallen Empire expansion,
Okay.
what made him one of my absolute favorites was there's this whole sequence where he's on guard and everyone's doing shit around the ship and he's just standing guard, but then he's constantly trying to kill this creature, and so you just see him running back and forth and combat rolling in the background, like trying to kill this fucking creature, and it's fucking hilarious. It's like, bro, it ain't that damn serious.
Dude, when you're an assassin droid, everything's that serious, huh?
Yeah. So okay. You ready for my number one? You probably already know what my number one is.
I already know what your number one is.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh, Kingdom Hearts. I look. I'm gonna be real. Kingdom Hearts 3 was a little bit of a letdown. There were things that I believe we were all expecting that didn't happen. Um, there were certainly a character or two that we thought we would get to finally play as, and we didn't. So there were definitely some missteps taken there. And now Kingdom Hearts 3 and well, really the mainline Kingdom Hearts as a whole and Final Fantasy 15 were directed by the same person. And I feel like what happened was he kind of abandoned Kingdom Hearts 3 in a sense because he wanted to get 15 out there. And 15 did come out before 3, you know. That was Tetsuya Nomura, right, guys? I'm pretty sure I got that right. But yeah, the original Kingdom Hearts, there was a commercial for it, and all I saw was a bunch of Disney characters from all these different movies that were out at the time, all in one thing. And then all in the center of it was a kid with a key, sword, weapon, traveling around with Donald and Goofy. And I saw that and was like, "Oh, that looks cool. That looks fun." Didn't say a word until like 3 days later. My mom comes up to me and she's like, "Hey, have you seen a preview for a video game that has like Mickey, Donald, Goofy, the Little Mermaid?" I was like, "Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I want to play it. I want to try that game out." She's like, "Oh okay." My mom went the distance. She put that game on layaway at 3 different stores, and then bought a PlayStation 2 bundle that came with the damn game. She actually convinced them to take one of the games out of the bundle and replace it with Kingdom Hearts.
That's
And yeah,
wow.
and every time I've had a few different PS2s over the years, and every time the first game I would get was Kingdom Hearts. I love that world. I love that story. I wish I was a Keyblade wielder. I don't have to be a Keyblade master, but I wish I was a Keyblade wielder. And if I had my choice, the Fenrir Keyblade would be my Keyblade. And if I really had my choice, it would specifically be the Fenrir plus 25 Keyblade from Union Cross. But yeah, I love that series. I love that series. I can't get OG to play it. He just will not
No,
touch it. He won't touch it. Not
nope.
even for his son. He won't even touch it for his son.
I don't want my son to touch it. No, no, not that serious. I think it has it's cult following. Um, but just not for me.
Yeah.
Not for I.
And that's perfectly fine. I mean, there's games that you like that I'm just like, not feeling it. you know.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, Kingdom Hearts #1 favorite video game franchise of all fucking time, and my top 3 characters. Starting at number 3 is Axel. He starts off as kind of a bad guy in Kingdom Hearts 2, and by the time of Kingdom Hearts 3, which there are several games that came out in between the mainline 1, 2, and 3 installments. But by the time we finally get to Kingdom Hearts 3, he has become a Keyblade wielder. He was what was called a nobody. So essentially he had no soul. He was basically just a walking corpse. You know, and his soul had or heart had reformed into what is called a heartless, and he eventually got recompleted, I guess, and then he was able to summon a Keyblade and become one of the good guys. And he was best friends with one of the main characters from Kingdom Hearts 2. And you get a little bit of a look at their friendship and their history in Kingdom Hearts. What the hell was it called? 325 and a half days or something like that. It was a weird title, but and then my next favorite character, my number 2, would be Sora, who is the main character of Kingdom Hearts. I mean, it's just hard not to love Sora. But my favorite character in all of Kingdom Hearts is Riku. He starts off as your best friend, then he becomes your rival. He even becomes your enemy when he's possessed by Ansem, and then he goes on a redemption journey, and then Him, not Sora, ends up becoming a Keyblade Master. And
Hmm.
he's still able to use his darkness powers because he learned how to balance the two. He found a true balance within himself to where he can safely use both light and dark. So,
Well, I'll be.
yep. So that's my number one.
Okay. Well, I think that we have gone through the list, and there's a very obvious game and or series that I haven't yet mentioned. Any chance you can guess what that is?
Halo.
No. I do want to give Halo a shout out though. If we had a
Yeah,
more honorable,
yeah.
it would definitely be.
I
Um,
have a very personal attachment to the original Halo in the sense that, and guys, you would have heard us mention someone named Andrew a few times in this recording. Uh, Childhood friend of ours. The three of us basically grew up together, and he unfortunately passed away back in 2008. So, and I will never forget my first experience with the original Halo was me and Andrew staying up all night playing the campaign start to finish.
yeah. Man, we played so many video games. Yeah, he introduced me to the Halo for the first time as well. So yeah, man. Wow, good times.
Yeah.
Um, well, with that shout out to Halo, I will say that my number one game or franchise is Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls. You know,
Yeah.
just man, listen. We um so Hedora here introduced me to the Elder Scrolls as well. This was during my campaign against um anything that was RPG. But I gave it a shot and I was addicted. And this was with Morrowind. So
Yep.
the
The third game in the
yeah,
series. We had never heard of the
third game.
series prior. And the
No,
only reason
nope.
the one thing that drew me to it to actually buy it on a whim was that I turned it over and it said become a werewolf. And I was like, "Oh shit." And so I bought it. That was the only reason I bought it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that I mean that one becoming like a vampire and playing those stories and seeing all that, that was wild to
uh
me.
Mark what was
Um,
it? Mark and Recall?
oh gosh, Mark and Rico moving.
Yep.
I had to sometimes move my location to another place, so
Yep.
I would
Yep.
mark one,
You could basically teleport from one to the other, but then after that you had to journey.
journey back, slow journey back. So
have to kill someone
yeah,
and have to kill someone inside their house so you could use their shit for storage.
yep, yep, yep. Oh
uh,
man, that was fun.
yeah, yeah,
That is fun.
yeah. Oh god, Elder Scrolls. I have 3 and 4 because I bought the Elder Scrolls anthology, so it has actually I believe it came with all of them. And I had tried playing 3 and 4 again, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I just was like Skyrim. Skyrim's it for me. I told you this a while back. I was like, yes, it is in a sense outdated, but I personally don't need another Elder Scrolls. I'm not saying there shouldn't be another one or that there shouldn't be a newer one. I'm just saying if
Mhm.
there was never another one, I would be fine.
Yeah,
But
no,
I am saying that based on uh 455 installed mods.
yeah, 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 no.
I would be
I think
remiss if I didn't mention that.
yeah, I think we're very much missing very much missing a new and updated game.
Yeah.
And I mean we have Starfield, right, that I haven't dabbled in just yet, but
Yeah. It's another one I want to check
we're
out.
yeah, we're missing the updated version of what you keep going back to. Um, so yeah, yeah, I mean, I ain't seen you go back to no Cyberpunk or no
Actually, this
uh
whole my whole ranking just changed because I deserve a kick in the nuts because I forgot a very important one, and it actually kicks Cyberpunk out of the top 10,
okay, okay.
and it actually boots Mortal Kombat out of the top three.
Oh boy.
Mass Effect.
Yeah. Hey, Mass Effect was your jam.
Like you said, Starfield, and I was just like, ah, yeah. And then I remembered what I said about like it looks like it's gonna be like almost kind of like Mass Effect, and I was like, oh, you bastard, you forgot about Mass Effect when you were doing your ranking, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, granted, there's definitely some games I'm sure I forgot about, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think my top 10 encompasses my just enjoyment from my favorite games of all time,
yeah,
and the environment from them.
right,
Probably, and I think some of them was more so the environment, and the friends and what our time and whatnot. So
yeah,
more nostalgia than anything. But I mean, they were also good games. So
yeah, yeah. Watch, people are gonna be in the comments. It's like his whole ranking is invalid because what he said about Mass Effect. It's like, you know what? If you feel that way, I don't blame you because that I dropped the ball on that. I dropped the ball on that. So,
done messed up, man. Done messed up.
yep. But all that would really change is just everything from three down would just move down, and then Cyberpunk would just move off of the top 10.
Yeah,
So,
it's fair.
yeah. So it's not like the whole list would have to change. Like, no, it just means Cyberpunk's no longer in my top 10. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, I think that was a good ranking.
I,
That was a
I
good
do I
ranking.
do too. I do too. I do too. And guys, you're gonna have to forgive us if we did forget, especially me, because I did. You know, we're 34 years old. We have played a lot of games since the pretty much since the inception of your mainstream game systems. You know,
First online game I played was what geez, they're forgetting stuff, getting old, man. What was the game that I play online with dial up? EverQuest.
yeah, EverQuest.
Yeah, gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We were around for the first Nintendo. We were there. We were
I
there.
was I was,
Duck Hunt.
I was
I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it was the one where you're playing as Mario and you got to go up the ladders and dodge the barrels that Donkey Kong is throwing at you. Yep, had
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. What was it, the knockout punch or whatever it's called?
Mm.
You have to fight through different guys boxing matches where each one has different abilities.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
game cheats.
Mighty Max,
Hell,
Golden Axe.
my oh, Golden Axe, God, Sega, yeah, yeah, good time with Sega. Well, I mean, it's past Dad the OG's bedtime, sir.
Yeah, we have been recording for an hour and 43 minutes. This is our longest recording it so far. By
Yeah,
far.
I
By
guess
far.
if anybody has a trip they have to go on, they can listen to this
Yeah. So, but but anyways, thank you for joining us, guys. I had fun with this, OG. I had fun.
one.
Definitely
I
talking about these. Definitely, some of them definitely took us back.
agreed. Agreed.
So but we're gonna go ahead and call it here. Like I said, we're coming up on an hour 45. Um, so thanks for tuning in, guys, and let us know in the comments. Let me guys know. Let us know in the comments what your top tens are, like of all time. You know, like I really want to know. Like like you're my people. I want to know what you guys like. So, OG, go ahead and say goodnight to everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right,
OG out.
all right, and
Go-
I've been Hidora Daikaiju. This has been Hidora Talks, and I will see you guys next time.